guys, it's KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel on YouTube. Here on my channel we cover a lot of different topics. I watched a few movies over the last week. I saw some interesting themes in those films and a lot of symbolism as well. And all of it connected to a subject I've been looking into here lately. It's also a subject I've covered in the past, and it has to do with Hollywood witches. Because living in this beast system, of course, the entertainment industry is going to be a part of that. We are in a beast system. This world is run by the devil. The evidence of this is all around us. But oftentimes it's occult information. It's hidden in plain sight. So I'm going to talk about those films and some other connecting information. To begin with, what you're looking at is a logo for a production company out of Hollywood. The company is called Escape Artists. And chances are you've seen films that have been produced by this company. This is the logo that shows up before the film. I find it very interesting. There's a lot of truth in this logo. It's a labyrinth inside the all-seeing eye. And in many senses, I see it as a mockery of those people who are still spiritually asleep and can't see what many of us can see. Because you and I are the escape artists. And if you're on this channel and listening to this now and you've seen some of my other videos, then most likely you've already escaped this beast system through knowledge. Because once you're aware of the way these people work, they use numerology, they use hidden subliminals, hidden messages, and of course the language of symbols. Well, once you're aware of that, once you see it, you can't unsee it. But once you've been awakened to this, you'll see it all around you. And remember to not be afraid of that.
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Misconception among people is that any rule or regulation that governs them falls under one category, law. But there are many other forms of law that people abide by without realizing that they simply do not apply to them. Another misconception is that a nation's constitution gives us our rights. A constitution does nothing more than list the rights that we already have. We are born with inalienable rights, endowed to us by our Creator. They are not given to us, and they cannot be given away. The most a person can do with a right is choose whether to exercise it or not. Maritime admiralty law is what's known as the law of the water. It is superseded by civil law and only applies to those who willingly contract themselves into it. The definition of admiralty law is a body of private international law governing the relationships between private entities which operate vessels on the oceans. Let's look at how and why a form of law that is fashioned to govern corporations, businesses, and vessels has imposed its rule over natural human beings. This is all done through a form of word magic. A simple perversion of language has made it possible to convince people around the world that these alternative laws apply to them. One of the predominant beliefs in modern culture is that licenses, permits, registrations, and other forms of documentation are required to operate motor vehicles, use public roads, build structures and establishments, engage in free enterprise, and much more. Sadly, these beliefs are based on little to no investigation whatsoever, and are false. This belief structure is perpetuated by maritime penalty law. This form of law was originally
run off to their chambers. There's been a bit of a feeling for a while that somehow denotes that you're on victory. We discovered actually that when a judge first enters a chamber, he really is representing himself, and really all the laws of the society we think are by the Parliament, but really they're all bylaws of the Bar Society. So in that first instance, when you establish your standing, unless the judge provides remedy, he is in dishonour. Yeah. So if a judge doesn't want to provide remedy, what he can do is he can leave the court, which is what we see when they run out. But when he returns, he doesn't return to a form of court based on the rules of the Bar Society. He returns now changing the form of the court without us seeing anything physically change into full admiralty court. Now, unless you then re-establish your standing again, then it's as if you no longer have any standing, because it's a brand new court. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep. Gotcha.
Now, it's also that what you ask for has to change as well, because if you ask for the wrong thing, they won't give it to you. So under the Bar Society, in the first form, it's remedy. But under the second form, because it's gone to pure admiralty, you have only two choices. If you don't establish standing, they will treat you as salvage under the laws of Oleron, which is the base laws, and they're all fictional, but under the claimed laws that the Roman cult and the Venetians use for commerce. So that salvage, you're dead, right? You're just a four-poster bed. If you re-establish your standing, which you must do when the judge returns, what you ask for is cure and maintenance, not remedies.
We have been lied to, and our rights have been eroded over and over again by people, mostly the fake Jews that have infiltrated through the Bar Association, have infiltrated American jurisprudence. Now, a lot of the early Americans were lawyers, but they weren't bar attorneys. There's a difference between the two, and that's something that many people may not realize. Just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean you're part of the British Accredited Registry or a bar attorney. Bar attorneys have allegiance to something other than the United States of America. It's like dual citizenship, which was forbidden under the Constitution. That's what the original 13th Amendment was all about keeping people that held allegiances to Britain from obtaining public office in the United States. The founders were very, very serious about that.
So when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example,
It literally means a Baal priest. A Baal.
That's what it means, a Baal priest. Now,
Baal or Baal?
Well, Baal. Baal is two words. Which is Lord, and then El, and the L is abbreviated. So Baal with the apostrophe means Lord God. Yeah?
Right.
So bar, just on its own, means Lord. So what you have is the word bar also means son of, as you've probably seen in Hebrew, like Simon bar Jonah, Simon, son of Jonah, yeah? But it also means practitioner of. So what you have is bar, practitioner of bar. Bar, practitioner of, abbreviated B-A-R, B, Baal, A, by, R, Romanum. So practitioner of Baal through Rome, yeah? Bar, another word for canon, rule, standard, okay? Practitioner of bar, practitioner of canon law, yeah? Yeah. They tell you.
Yeah, one other use of bar is the beginning of barbarians, which comes from the Greek, and it means that the people spoke, in the manner that they spoke, it was not understandable, just like legalese. So that's where the word barbarian came from, and of course it's part of bar, where they speak legalese, where only they can understand the words and we can't.
Yeah. So what we see in the word itself is a supremely powerful magic word that they are using to present themselves, and so they're really telling people that they are religious. The canon law tells that all courts are considered temples. That's what the canon law is doing, is giving validation to the fact that the courts are called oratories, and it's in canon law, and priests, judges of priests called ordinaries. But what this is doing is validating what we're witnessing, that the judge leaving and returning is really changing the form of the court to more senior, more powerful law. It's showing that a judge is holding levels of power. It's showing that a judge is absolutely dripping in being a priest, a Baal priest, and that the authority of the judge and the ability to sentence is purely an ecclesiastical and sacramental power. It has nothing to do with adjudication or agreement. Their ability to judge and sentence is purely by remaining in honour of their ecclesiastical powers. So when you present an ecclesiastical notice of dishonour that gives notice of dishonour by their rules, a judge loses their power. And it turns out that all this argument about liens and things that people have had for years, that, if you get a lien on a judge, the judge has to leave. The lien means nothing. The lien is irrelevant. What's happening is when someone perfects that notice of protest...
Who owns your children, and subtitled The Dangers of Government as Parent, is really an age-old battle. It's been going on in this country in a very heated fashion for about 100 years. It involves two radically opposing views of parenting and education, and they are at war and have been at war for some time in America. The gradual results of this over time have resulted in the destruction of not only education, but along with it our liberties, our constitutional government, and our American society in many, many respects.
This is Kathleen Arthur again, and I'm on the third floor of the Russell Building, and I have seen all of the legislative aides on floors 1 through 3, and I have played them the clip of the social worker right to life federal case number 15-55563, and I have given them the news article, the one and only news article about our social workers' right to lie case. This case is one step away from the Supreme Court. And the question is, do social workers have the constitutional right to lie? And if they plant evidence and lie, are they immune from this or not? This is being heard in our federal court. The closing arguments have been done, and now they are awaiting the decision. If the federal court decides to go ahead and allow this, that means that our social workers they're going to set the precedent all over America that the social workers have the constitutional right to lie, commit perjury, plant evidence, and take your child. That is article on this issue. This is a fundamental right to parent issue, and our news medias are not doing a good job on it. Our news medias have turned into a gossip column. I'm surrounded by them here. They're all over the place. And what are they covering? They're covering Donald Trump. They're covering Hillary Clinton. But they're not covering the fact that our government is stealing our children and have the right to lie. They have the right to take our children, and we have no recourse because the social workers are immune.